Hey guys, so Hissabeth kit has been released, but without the numbers. So this is a preliminary analysis of her kit, and most of the text they do have the translation, but I took it from Merui's video, right? So I put his link in the description section, so please watch his video. So for Hissabeth's insight, when entering a battle, she gains Snake's Nest, and at the start of the round, if Hissabeth has Snake's Nest, she generates Hiss. Hiss and Ultimate will not count toward the team spell dot limit. So usually we have like 8 in the spell dot limit, so when she get Ultimate, it will be like the 9th or something, right? And Hiss will also be additional. When entering battle, increase damage dealt for Insight 2 and Insight 3 when Hissabeth attack an enemy with Asbestos skills, inflict rigidity and additionally recover Moxie. So I assume that recover Moxie means she gained +1 Moxie. Asbestos skill at the end of the round take Genesis damage. So this is kind of like a poison, but not really a poison. So it's not categorized as the poison like Hacked Bane or Tuesday's poison. So it's a different debuff, probably a negative status. So it takes Genesis damage, and this damage can crit, and is boosted by Ultimate Might. And upon triggering, it is retrieved as Hissabeth's Snake Nest. So enemy has it, and when it triggers at the end of turn, the Asbestos skills will return to Hissabeth as the buff Snake Nest. If the holder dies, any remaining Asbestos skill will transfer to the enemy ally with the highest attack. So meaning that if one of the enemy, we kill it, then this debuff will transfer to another person. So at all time, there will be a Asbestos on one of the enemy if Hissabeth actually attacks and transfer it over. For her skill 1, Ouroboros, Mass attack, deal mental damage to 2 enemies, deal additional mental damage to target with Asbestos skill. So you would want to use Hiss as the first skill in a round. Since it is free AP anyway, just use it. And then when you attack with this skill 1, you will do more damage. Okay, and for skill 2, it's a self buff, consumes Snake's Nest. At the end of the round, add Hiss to the spell dog. If Snake Nest is insufficient, gain Moxie instead. So this is quite confusing because she start off with Snake Nest and we use and at the start if she has Snake Nest, it will be converted to Hiss. So in that case, she should have more than 1 Snake Nest. Okay, maybe 2 Snake Nests. Right? So when you use skill 2, she consumed the other Snake Nest, and that will generate Hiss at the end of the round, so we can use it the next round. And if Snake Nest is insufficient, she gain Moxie instead. So if there's no more Snake Nest, which means like if we use her S2 twice, so the first one will consume Snake Nest, then there's none, you use again, you will instantly get 2 Moxie out of this skill. And for her ultimate is a mass attack, deal mental damage to all enemies. On hit, increase the Asbestos skills damage that they take at the end of the round, and recover all Asbestos skill back into Hiss. So what happened I think here would be when we use ultimate, and then at the end of the round, all the Asbestos skills damage, the damage will increase, and then when we retrieve it, instead of retrieving it into Snake Nest, it turned directly into Hiss. So now we don't have to use S2 to consume the Snake Nest to turn it into Hiss. It's automatic now, right? So I think that is what will happen. So to be honest, the kit sounds a little bit confusing. Initially, I couldn't really make much out of it, except that it is dealing Genesis damage and has rigidity, which transform into petrification and have some form of poison, and does Genesis damage. So that's basically my understanding. But upon reading further, I think this is what will happen. So I think this is how she's gonna work, right? So she should start with 2 Snake's Nests and more if you have Portray, and maybe that will result in higher stacks of Snake Nest. I do not know, but probably. And basically her kit will revolve around this Snake Nest, Hiss, and Asbestos skill. So initially you have Snake Nest at the start of the round. If you have it, then you get Hiss. You cast Hiss, then you inflict Asbestos skill, and when Asbestos skill triggers, it comes back to Hissabeth as Snake Nest. So the cycle continues. But now, like I say, with her S2, so she's going to consume another stack of Snake Nest, and that will generate Hiss. Because if Snake Nest is going to just rotate through the enemy back to Hissabeth to the enemy, technically if it's only one stack, there should be none. And S2 will just be a plain skill doing nothing except providing 2 Moxie. So I find that like lacking. So it has to do something, right? So here, the only way for it to do something based on the description is that there should be 2 or more stacks of Snake Nest, and S2 are able to consume it after one of it has been turned into Hiss, and we use it to attack the enemy. So including the one that naturally rotates, Hissabeth should be able to get 2 Hiss if we use the S2. So the next round you get 2 Hiss, and then you're going to cast 2 Hiss, right? One of it to inflict, the other one is to, you can inflict on another enemy, or you can inflict like 2 stack of Asbestos maybe, and while you're attacking enemy with Asbestos, then that is how she inflict rigidity, which makes sense because you want to attack twice in a round in order for Hissabeth to inflict rigidity and also gain additional Moxie out of her attacks. And Hiss itself will also generate 1 Moxie. The thing is that if we use an incantation, we naturally get 1 Moxie. So does this mean Hiss will generate 2? I don't think so, because Hiss is a free AP incantation, and usually free AP incantation doesn't generate extra Moxie. So the text has to specifically say that that incantation will generate +1 Moxie. Something like Argus, right? She does an additional incantation at the end, and that in text also mentioned that it will generate Moxie. So same thing here for Hiss. Right? So if she's easily gaining so much Moxie, then it will be very comfortable for her to be able to cycle through her ultimate into her skills, get back Moxie into her ultimate into her skills, to the point that she can be placed into some like AP hungry team. And that kind of fit that she's a petrification unit, like if she's going to be with Druvis and Jessica, and Druvis and Jessica also need consume a lot of AP, so she has to be AP friendly in order for her to fit in there. Okay, but this is just my assumption, right? And her attack skill with ultimate might, so definitely a good pairing with Melania. Using her ultimate will trigger Asbestos skill and retrieve all Asbestos back into Hiss, bypassing the Snake Nest cycle. So I already mentioned this. Yeah. So if you have like multiple Asbestos on the enemy, all of that will translate back to Hiss. So you have multiple Hiss. That's what I think. So for her rotation, I think this is a rotation. She starts off with 1 Hiss, which equals to 1 Moxie when we use it, and inflict Asbestos. Now S2 consume another Snake Nest, so that's +1 Moxie because we use S2, and this is 1 AP consume. At the end of the enemy turn, Asbestos is triggered and returned to Hissabeth as Snake Nest. So at the start of round 2, Snake Nest now convert to Hiss, and her S2 that we used earlier will also generate another Hiss. So now you have 2 Hiss. So using 2 Hiss will generate 3 Moxie actually, because the first one will inflict Asbestos. Then when we attack again, then you get 1 + 1. So you should get 3 Moxie here. So in that case, we get 2 Moxie earlier and 3 Moxie now. That would be 5 Moxie. Okay, and you only need 1 AP at the start for round 1 and round 2 in order to get her ultimate. So this is why I say she should be very AP friendly. And because the ultimate will be triggered the next round in round 3, you want to use S1 again, because now you want to have 2 Hiss. Right? Because 2 Hiss inflicting 2 Asbestos, then when you use ultimate you will get back 2 Hiss. So in that case I would recommend to use S1. which I think there can be another rotation that you start round 1 using his, but you don't use any skill. Round 2, you have another his, then you use his, S1 and S2. So S1, when you attack with the Abastos, you get 2 Moxie. You use S2 and consume one of the Snake Nests, providing his at the end of the round, and that will be 3 Moxie. Using his will be 4 Moxie, so earlier in round 1 you use another his, 5 Moxie. So by round 3 you should get her ultimate. And now her ultimate is up, and you have 2 his, use both his, then you use ultimate. Okay, so at the end of the turn, the ult will cause the Abastos to retrieve back and directly generate his. So that should generate 2 his. Okay, and in round 4, now you can use 2 his, and that will be 3 Moxie. And you don't have to use any AP. And in round 5, because you didn't use S2 in round 4, so you should have only 1 his, and now you use it, and you use S2, that will give you 2 Moxie. And now in round 6, you should get her ultimate again, and you have another 2 his. Then now you repeat the cycle. So I think this is how she should play. How good she will be really then depends on the numbers. And in terms of team comp, Tuesday has Genesis damage taken, so maybe you'll work with her, but I think Abastos is not considered a poison, so that part doesn't work with her kit. But she will be inflicting like rigidity, hiss, and everything, and that will trigger the poison that Tuesday array. Like when you cast any form of negative status, then there's a possibility that poison will be inflicted as well. So at least that will work, right? And Genesis damage taken is also good for Hissabeth. Then we have Melania. Melania has very high ultimate might, which will work for Hissabeth. And Druvis. Okay, Druvis petrification, but overall because she's a plant, so she does have the Circle of Life, and that is what we want from Druvis. And together with her, they would hit, they would petrify the enemy quite often. The thing is that the penetration rate I don't think will really work with Hissabeth. So let's see. And Jessica, Hissabeth. The thing is Hissabeth AP friendly. So Jessica consuming AP also to inflict attack and all those things should probably work with Hissabeth as well. And if not mistaken, Hissabeth S1 is an attack, which helps Euphoria Jessica to gain the Moss of Stones. Alright, so again, I think this is her kit, so it's my assumption, most of it. And yeah, we will have to see when the actual things comes. Alright, so that's all for the video. Thank you very much, and have a good day.